I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ustyme. So I know it said TalkBox. We're a TalkBox customer and partner. So I thought it would be nice to actually walk you through what we're doing using WebRTC to bring people together, not just for customer service, but really to spend some Ustyme. And our motto is turning screen time into Ustyme. So first, I want to see a show of hands. Who here is running WebRTC in the real world, in production? So we're running with tens of thousands of users, actually now hundreds of thousands of users every day using WebRTC, but not in a customer service application, in an application that's really about content-centered interaction. A little bit of personal background. I'm the original inventor of what became WebEx or web conferencing. About 21 patents. It's joe@ustyme.com or Joe Selesky. We did the first video over the web. I was a head of media server programs at Ncube, so did the first interactive television, and then went on to build the codecs and the server-involved communication that became web conferencing. That was nearly 20 years ago. It's amazing how time flies. Early days of the web. When we started, there were no such thing as firewalls. We did the first firewall tunneling, just to take you back. Fast forward 20 years, I was awarded the honor of becoming a grandfather 3 years ago. My oldest daughter gave us a wonderful announcement, and we started to think about how were we going to spend time with our grandson 600 miles away. Everybody here, who has kids? I'd like you to keep your hand up if you can get your kids to stay on a call more than 20 minutes. I got a couple. Yeah, especially when they need money. But think about that with a child, and think about the fact that really, when you start to look at video calling, most of us have moved towards asynchronous communication. Most of you message to your children, right? We start to look at there's no feeling and empathy in that type of communication. So I'll jump into the demo, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing as part of this platform. So what you see here is a Google Chrome browser. I've got an iOS tablet here. We run on iPhone, iOS, both tablet and iPhone. Android's releasing just by the end of the year. We're running on Google Chrome browser. We've certified Opera, and we've also got Firefox. So we're running cross-platform, cross-device, but it's really about doing something simple, which is how do we spend time together when we're not physically together. So here you can go in and launch Ustyme. You can get a hold of some content, books or games to play together. It's free calls. There's some free content. That content's going to end up on your shelf, and you have a group of friends that you can call. So in this case, I'm just going to go back to the home screen. I'm going to call my iPad, and I'm going to try to move very quickly after I answer to mute things so I don't get feedback. So we're jumping into a call together over the Wi-Fi, live demo, and I'll try to tip my iPad up so you can see me. But basically we're in a real-time call. But we're in a call that can be content-centered. So here I'm going to jump into a book, go ahead and say okay, and now we're doing something together. We're reading together. So for those of you that have grandchildren, this is an activity that you would have done with your kids. Now it's an activity you can do with your grandkids, even if they don't live in the same room. I'm turning the page here on the tablet. It's turning the page on both devices. So think of that as content orchestration for any content type. In the same session, we can go jump back out to the shared shelf. We could pick up another book. We could jump into a game. I'm going to say yes. And we're going to play a game that all of you are quite familiar with. I can drop a piece. Oh, I got to drop a piece here. The other person drops a piece, and we're taking turns playing a game in a video call. So think about this. Our average call length is 23 minutes. The average child does 4 activities with an adult. But we're actually focused on about a $2 trillion industry, which is the media and entertainment industry. How are we going to go from streaming media that was on your own to engagement that's together? So we've got several very exciting partners working with us. It's been wonderful to work with OpenTalk to make it easy for this platform to run across all devices. So today, everybody knows how WebRTC works in the browser. We're a hybrid application when we're running on iOS or Android or a set-top box running with Cordova. So just to give you, some of the backgrounds there. But again, when you really start to look at the types of interactions people do, I'm picking something over here, we're joining in, we're now going to read another story together, and that's all in the same session. So think of establishing the call, understanding presence, going into the activity, going through that activity together, switching between activities, and start to think about WebRTC not just as customer service, but starting to become a platform where the publishers that are providing us with content are now connecting their customers. So people are reading together, people are playing games together, something that actually makes you feel and empathize with that other person. So I think what you really want to think about when we're all thinking about WebRTC, and I'll just end the little call here and go back, is why are we actually doing video calls? Why? Today, we're all carrying a mobile device that we can talk on and we don't talk anymore, right? The number of conversations that you have on this device is less than 1/100th of the number of messages that you send on this device. So we've moved to asynchronous communication because it's convenient, because we don't have to be on the same time. Why are people going to video call? This device can do it, other devices. Is it because it's going to be easier? The truth is that it's already easy to establish a voice circuit on this device, yet we don't use it that way. Communication as an activity, doesn't necessarily need a conversation unless you want some of the nonverbal communication that occurs. So the reason we all want WebRTC in a customer services call is so that the customer empathizes with the person they're working with, and the customer service person feels that there's a relationship and a level of empathy and communication that happens in a way that a child learns to communicate very early in life. Understanding facial expressions, understanding the empathy on the other side. To really have web conferencing take off, it's got to also support the other types of activities that we would do in person. When we're in a visual call, what are the other types of activities? Is it reading together? Is it playing together? Very interesting. For most of us, when we were growing up, the word play meant there was another human involved. Now, very frequently, play is an isolated activity where we're playing with a screen. The opportunity with WebRTC is really to turn screen time into us time. To have that screen not only serve up the content that we want to experience, but to allow us to experience that content with others. The truth is we socialize in content-centered interactivity. When we play a game, when it's not your turn, you tend to talk. Think about it. So if we're really looking at changing the world with that WebRTC, the thing I would suggest to you is to start to look at where it brings people together for experiences that facilitate that socialization. We talk about social networks, but we tend not to socialize in those social networks. What you're seeing with Ustyme, what you're seeing here, is the power of the networks to bring people together. But they're not just going to be together to talk, right? We've got to create the social lubricant that facilitates those conversations, that decompresses that conversation, that facilitates that interaction. So, Ustyme, all of you can download it. It's free. Start to use it with your families. And I think what you'll start to see is that with Ustyme, a lot of your families will understand what WebRTC is because they'll see some direct relevance to their daily lives and the connections they want to have with other people. Thank you very much.